Hálios is the second full-length album from Ceremony of Silence, a Slovakian black and death metal band who began as a trio back in about 2015. You might know some of the members from either their album art for other records or for Pornut or Abbey of Thelema if you follow 2010s avant-garde black metal and death metal. But overall, this is a newer group who Willowtip picked up not too long ago for Utis, a black and death metal record that I rated very highly in the year that it released. It was number 31 on my top 50 of the year back in 2019. And their sound at the time, it reminded me of Mithras, it reminded me of Ulcerate. There was probably a little bit of Bolzer in there, and certainly some Gorguts related to the Ulcerate observation there. Basically, all that means is that it is very atmospheric, it is technical, it is certainly black metal influenced in its sound, but it is death metal up front in most respects. Now, their first record was a little bit more confrontational. It was a little bit more ready to go with its aggression, and it was a spellbinding release. It was, again, one of my favorite records of that year. Fantastic performances throughout, the art direction. I remember I bought the vinyl right away. It was just one of those records that I just loved the way they put it together, both the aesthetic and the actual music itself, and it has held up very well. It's a fantastic debut. Now, this second record is of the same quality, it is of the same presentation of mind, and it actually brings in a deeper theme here, which they've shared, which makes it, I would say, probably even better than the first record. But before we get there, let's listen to a song and rush to the good stuff here. So the way that I would see the second record, it's basically a second chapter in their book. It's a second slate where they've picked up on a lot of the best parts of the first record, and they've changed the production values around just a little bit to be a little bit less bass guitar forward. The bass was quite loud on the first record, and more focused on the trade-off between the many layers of guitars, and that's allowed for both a deeper narrative, quicker to rush through songs, and quite a lot of parity is shared between the first record and this second one. The difference is that the themes are slightly different, and some of their style has changed a little bit to in the way that Suffering Hour has changed over the years. Now, when I mention Ulcerate, you'll certainly get that influence from it, but there are plenty of other bands with similar sounds, such as Suffering Hour. If you remember the most recent record, which was, it played with a lot of guitar effects, and this record does that in the same way, where there's almost a psychedelic treatment of black and death metal, as much as it is a technical death metal record down to the bones of it. And so there aren't a lot of bands capable of doing that, and a lot of them have split up at this point, even like Dodecahedron. So this is a unique sound that we haven't heard for a while, and it is specifically a continuation of, again, the knack that was there for Otis, their first record. So what is different here? What makes this better? What's special about it? To me, is the fact that they've been able to go somewhere with it. They've moved in with some different dynamic sounds, a little bit more of an atmospheric record overall, and they've been able to continue to unleash it as a heavy death metal record primarily. So I think the balance makes for a better rounded record in some sense, although you might miss some of the more abrupt nature of the first record, where here they take their time developing a lot of these biggest points, and every song kind of finds a way to count, even though the whole thing feels very relentless. It feels like a deluge, a downpour. It just comes at you, and it all drops on you throughout, with just a couple minutes of reprieve here and there, such as the closing song. So really, there wasn't a lot of room to breathe on this record, and I think it made it so re-listening to it many times it availed me to the depth of the lyrical themes of a lot of the finer points of the lyrics. They're written in a very strong poetic style, which has a lot of both imagery and symbolism that is almost difficult to pick up on the first pass, but then makes more sense as I return to it. So that's what I mean by depth. It feels like there is a lot of care put into every moment of their presentation. So a lot of enthusiasm for this record. Is certainly my kind of thing. song, and I think that the full presentation of it, along with setting some meaning behind it, fantastic musicianship, huge points for style and whatnot. I felt like I had a very strong connection with this record, so that gets a very high recommendation from me. Check it out if it seems like your thing. It releases tomorrow on July 19th, and read my review if you'd like more of my thoughts.